Ever heard of someone quitting their job because their office coffee machine was replaced? Or how about a heated argument over pineapple pizza? Believe it or not, these are just the tip of the iceberg. Today, we're diving into 101 ridiculous reasons Americans have left their jobs. Some will leave you laughing, others will have you questioning reality. Let's get started. 1. A coworker stole my lunch, repeatedly. The mystery lunch thief strikes again. It didn't matter if I labeled it or hid it in the back of the fridge, they said. My sandwiches were always gone. Leaving was the only way to protect my food. 2. The boss made us do group yoga every morning. Yoga can be relaxing, but not everyone's a fan. I'm not flexible, and it was embarrassing trying to keep up with my coworkers, one worker explained. 3. A coworker kept live streaming their desk. Privacy? What privacy? They said it was for their YouTube channel, but I felt like I was constantly being watched, one employee shared. 4. I was tired of hearing the same playlist every day. Picture this. The same 12 songs on loop every single day for months. One employee said, "It felt like living in a broken jukebox. I'd hear Don't Stop Believin' and immediately want to run out the door." So I did. 5. The vending machine only had healthy snacks. Sure, health is important, but sometimes you need chips. All we had were kale chips and protein bars. I missed candy too much to stay, one worker joked. 6. The coffee machine was replaced with decaf only. For many, coffee is life. But when the office switched to a strictly decaf policy for health reasons, one employee couldn't take it. I was falling asleep at my desk. It was either quit or invest in my own espresso machine, they explained. Spoiler alert, they chose to quit. 7. The office banned personal decorations. After years of bringing personality to their desk with photos, plants, and a small army of Funko Pops, one employee was told to strip it all away. It felt like they were erasing who I was, they said. I need a workplace that embraces creativity, not kills it. 8. A coworker refused to wash their hands. Hygiene is important, right? But one person had had enough after repeatedly catching their colleague leaving the restroom without so much as a rinse. I tried talking to HR, but nothing changed. So I washed my hands of the situation and quit. 9. The office fridge became a biohazard. Leftovers from months ago, unclaimed Tupperware, and a smell that could knock you out. This fridge had it all. Every time I opened it, I felt like I needed a hazmat suit, one worker explained. When management refused to address the issue, they decided it was time to pack up without using the fridge. 10. The office had mandatory fun days. Not everyone loves forced bonding. One employee recalled, "Every Friday we had fun day. We had to participate in karaoke, wear costumes, or play trivia games. I just wanted to get my work done and go home. It wasn't fun. It was torture." What's the most ridiculous reason you've ever heard someone quit their job? Let me know in the comments. Maybe it'll end up in part 2 of this video. 11. The office banned snacks at desks. For one employee, this was the last straw, literally. I needed my midday bag of chips to survive those endless meetings, they explained. When management outlawed all desk snacks due to cleanliness concerns, they cleaned out their desk instead. 12. I got caught in an elevator with my boss. An elevator malfunction turned into an hour-long nightmare. My boss used the time to talk about quarterly reports, they shared. I realized if I stayed, my career would feel like that elevator, stuck with nowhere to go. 13. The company blocked social media. For some, sneaking a quick scroll through Instagram is the highlight of a workday. They said it was for productivity, one worker noted, but I felt like a teenager getting grounded. So I grounded myself by quitting. 14. My manager kept stealing my ideas. Picture this. You share a brilliant concept in a meeting, and your manager presents it as their own the next day. One employee said, "When they got a promotion for my idea, I realized I'd never get the credit I deserved." 15. The office smell was unbearable. An unexplained mix of burnt popcorn, old carpet, and mystery funk. No one knew what it was, and no one cared to find out, said one ex-worker. I couldn't take another whiff. My sinuses needed a fresh start. 16th. We had too many meetings. A classic tale of meeting overload. We had meetings to plan meetings, one person groaned. Sometimes I'd spend the whole day in the conference room and forget what my actual job was. 17. The parking lot was a nightmare. This might sound small, but for one employee, it was everything. It took me 20 minutes to find a spot every day, they said. When I almost missed an important meeting because of it, I decided to park myself somewhere else permanently. 18. The break room microwave was always dirty, sticky buttons, mystery spills, and leftover smells from who knows what. I cleaned it once, said one employee, but when it got worse the next week, I realized I was fighting a losing battle. 19. A coworker kept playing pranks on me. Harmless jokes turned into daily disruptions. Once they replaced my computer mouse with a block of cheese, one person revealed. Funny at first, but after the 10th prank, I realized I wasn't being taken seriously. 20. The company had a weekly weigh-in. Yes, this was real. They called it a health initiative, but it was just humiliating, one person said. Nobody should have to step on a scale for their job. 21. The office pets were out of control. A company with a bring-your-pet-to-work policy sounds fun, until one employee found their lunch stolen by a coworker's dog. I can't compete with a Labrador, they said. It's either me or the dog, and apparently, the dog stays. 22. My desk was right next to the bathroom. It's hard to stay focused when your workspace doubles as a front-row seat to every flush. I'd have to pause my calls every time the toilet roared, they shared. It was impossible to concentrate. 23. The coffee tasted like dirt. It wasn't just bad, it was offensive, one caffeine-dependent worker complained. If I'm going to drink something every day, it needs to at least taste like coffee, not regret. 24. They asked me to smile more. No one likes being told to force happiness. If I'm miserable, it's probably for a reason, said one employee. Instead of fixing the issues, they just wanted me to pretend everything was fine. So I smiled as I walked out the door. 25. The thermostat war got out of control. There's always someone who loves freezing temperatures, and someone else who needs it tropical. In one office, this war escalated to sabotage. Employees would sneakily adjust the thermostat during breaks. When it became clear the office was stuck in a never-ending season of winter, one person said, "I'm done," and left for warmer climates. Literally. 26. My manager sent motivational texts at 5 a.m. Inspiration is great, but not before sunrise. He'd text things like, "The early bird gets the worm. I hadn't even had my coffee yet." One worker laughed. 27. The office was haunted. This might sound like a movie plot, but one worker swears their office had a ghost. Doors would slam on their own, lights flickered constantly, and I kept hearing footsteps when no one was there. The final straw? I saw my computer turn on by itself at midnight. Nope, I'm not paid enough to deal with spirits. 28th. A coworker never stopped humming. We all have that one colleague who hums their way through the day. For one employee, it was unbearable. It wasn't even full songs. It was random, tuneless hums. Once they got Jingle Bells stuck in my head in July. I knew it was either their humming or my mental health, so I left. 29th. The company refused to buy new office supplies. Broken staplers and pens that didn't work became the norm. I started bringing my own supplies, but it felt ridiculous, said one employee. 30. The company mascot gave me nightmares. Yes, some companies have mascots, but not all mascots are lovable. One worker recalled, "Ours was a 6-foot-tall bear with creepy, oversized eyes. It stood in the lobby every day, staring at us. I started having dreams where it chased me. That's when I realized it was time to run, for real." 31. My boss responded to every email with just K. Communication is key in any workplace, But what happens when your boss is too brief? I'd pour my heart into a project update, only to get a single letter in reply. K. It made me feel like my efforts were worthless, so I decided to find a job where people actually read my emails. 32. The vending machine was always broken. For snack lovers, this is a tragedy. It was like the machine mocked me, one employee said. I'd watch my bag of chips get stuck every single time. One day, I shook the machine so hard the boss yelled at me. That's when I knew it wasn't just the chips that were stuck, so was I. 33rd. The lighting made me feel like a vampire. Offices are supposed to be bright and inspiring, but not this one. The fluorescent lights were dim and flickered constantly, one worker explained. It felt like we were working in a dungeon. When I started craving sunlight more than coffee, I realized I needed out. 34. A coworker's perfume was overwhelming. Scent preferences are subjective, but overpowering cologne or perfume can be unbearable. Every time they walked by, it was like being hit by a perfume tsunami, one person vented. My allergies couldn't handle it, and neither could I. 35. The company had a no coffee policy. Yes, this really happened. Management claimed coffee was bad for productivity, said one ex-employee. But honestly, no coffee was worse for morale. I quit the same day they replaced the coffee machines with herbal tea dispensers. 36. The office was in a traffic nightmare zone. Some jobs are worth a commute, but not this one. I spent more time sitting in traffic than I did with my family, said one frustrated worker. When I started calculating my commute as hours of unpaid work, I knew I needed to move on. 37. A coworker constantly clipped their nails at their desk. This might be one of the grossest reasons. It wasn't just the sound, one employee shared. I saw a nail fly across the desk once. That was it. I couldn't take it anymore. 38th. They made me share my desk with another employee. Hot desking might save space, but for some, it's a nightmare. I'd come in, and my stuff would be gone because it was someone else's turn to use the desk. It felt like I didn't belong there at all. 39. The water cooler was replaced with tap water. You'd think free water isn't a big deal until it's gone. We had these amazing filtered water coolers, said one worker. Then management swapped them for plastic pitchers of warm tap water. It felt like a metaphor for how little they valued us. 40. We had to clock in to use the restroom. Yes, you read that right. Every time we went to the bathroom, we had to punch a special clock. It was humiliating. I decided to leave before they started charging us for air. 41. The office furniture was falling apart. Imagine sitting in a chair that creaks with every move, or working at a desk that wobbles dangerously. Once my chair collapsed during a meeting, one worker recalled. Everyone laughed, but I realized my career there was just as unstable. 42nd. A coworker always used speakerphone, loudly. Some people don't understand the concept of privacy. They'd take personal calls on speakerphone all day, one person said. I knew way too much about their love life, and I didn't want to hear another word about their cat's vet visits. 43rd. The break room microwave was an abomination. Sticky buttons, unidentifiable food splatters, and a smell that defied logic. I tried cleaning it once, but it was hopeless, said one worker. Every time I heated my lunch, it came out smelling like burnt fish. 44. The dress code made no sense. Some companies take dress codes to absurd lengths. We weren't customer-facing, but they insisted we wear suits and ties. Meanwhile, the CEO walked around in flip-flops. The hypocrisy was too much. 45. The office printer was always broken. Printers seemed to have a vendetta against workers. It would jam, overheat, or just refuse to print at all. The day it shredded my resignation letter, I took it as a sign to leave. All right, which one of these would drive you out the door? Comment below. I'm curious which reason made you laugh or cringe the most. 46. My boss micromanaged everything. Imagine having to explain why you used a blue pen instead of black. I had to send daily updates, hourly emails, and even justify why I took bathroom breaks, one ex-employee shared. I wasn't an employee, I was a puppet. 47. The office smelled like stale food, constantly. From burnt popcorn to leftover fish, the break room smells always seem to linger. The final straw was when someone microwaved broccoli every day for a week, they said. My nose quit before I did. 48th. A coworker talked in baby voice to everyone. This one is hard to imagine until you experience it. They'd say things like, "Can you please send me the WePort?" It was funny the first time. By the 100th, I was done. 49th. The company changed the brand of toilet paper. This might sound petty, but for some people, small comforts mean a lot. One worker reported, "We went from soft, high-quality rolls to sandpaper overnight." It felt like a metaphor for how much the company cared about us. They decided they'd rather find a job that didn't cut corners or skin. 50. We had mandatory karaoke nights. Not everyone loves karaoke, especially after a long workday. It wasn't optional, and my boss made us sing duets with him, one employee explained. No paycheck is worth singing Islands in the Stream in front of coworkers. 51. The boss's pet had more perks than we did. Some workplaces are pet-friendly, but this one took it too far. The CEO's dog had a custom bed, gourmet meals, and its own Instagram account. Meanwhile, I couldn't even get a new stapler, they said. 52. A coworker wouldn't stop chewing loudly. Crunch, smack, slurp. Every meal was an audio experience. It wasn't just annoying, it was unbearable, they said. I couldn't focus on work because all I could hear was their chewing. 53. I was assigned a company car. That didn't work. For one employee, getting a company car felt like a perk until they saw it. It was a beat-up sedan that broke down every week. I spent more time at the mechanic than at work. 54th. The office plants were fake and dusty. Imagine spending years in an office with lifeless decor. The fake plants were covered in dust and never moved, one worker said. It felt symbolic of the workplace, fake and stagnant. 55. I was forced to participate in a company TikTok video. Social media can be fun, but not when it's mandatory. The boss wanted us to do a choreographed dance. I tried, but I realized I wasn't getting paid enough to embarrass myself online. 56. The boss had mood swings, hourly. One minute they were friendly, the next they were yelling. It was like working for two different people, said one ex-employee. I couldn't keep up with the emotional roller coaster. 57. The dress code was ridiculous. For one worker, being forced to wear formal business attire in a casual work environment felt archaic. Why do I need a tie to send emails? It's not like my computer cares what I'm wearing, they joked. 58. The office Wi-Fi was slower than dial-up. In the digital age, fast internet is non-negotiable. It took 5 minutes to load a single email, one worker complained. I felt like I was working in the 90s. 59. My manager played favorites. Some workers got promotions, others got ignored. It was obvious who the favorites were, one person shared. I realized I'd never get ahead, so I moved on. 60. We had to take turns cleaning the bathroom. Some tasks should be outsourced, and bathroom cleaning is one of them. It wasn't in my job description, said one worker. The day I was handed a mop, I handed in my resignation. 61. The office printer tracked what we printed. Imagine feeling judged every time you printed something. They monitored every page, said one worker. It felt invasive and unnecessary, especially when I printed my resume. 62. The new boss didn't know my name. Not after a week, not after a month. Imagine working hard every day only to hear, "Hey, you," repeatedly. For one employee, it wasn't just an oversight. It was a sign that they were invisible in the workplace. They decided to leave for somewhere they'd actually be recognized. 63. The company celebrated every small win excessively. Recognition is great, but not when it's over the top. We'd have hour-long celebrations for meeting basic goals, said one worker. It felt like a waste of time and energy. 64. The boss banned personal photos at desks. For some, personal touches make a workspace feel like home. They said photos were unprofessional, but it made the office feel cold and impersonal, one person shared. 65. We had to use outdated software. Working on programs from the early 2000s wasn't just frustrating, it was inefficient. I spent more time troubleshooting than working, they said. I couldn't compete in the modern workforce using ancient tools. We've hit reason number 65. Can you relate to any of these? Or do you have your own ridiculous work story? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear it. 66. The boss had a no laughter rule. Yes, you heard that right. No laughter. She said it was unprofessional and distracted people, said one former employee. But how do you not laugh when a coworker trips over their own shoelaces during a meeting? The vibe was so tense, I knew I couldn't thrive there. 67. A coworker kept bringing their baby to meetings. Babies are adorable, but not during presentations. It cried through every meeting and no one could focus, one worker recalled. 68. The office parking lot was terrifying. Parking at work shouldn't feel like a survival game. It was dimly lit, full of potholes, and always crowded. One time I found a raccoon in my car, one employee recounted. I decided I needed a safer commute and a raccoon-free existence. 69. The company forced us to wear matching outfits. Uniforms might work for some jobs, but this wasn't one of them. They made us wear bright orange polos that looked like traffic cones, said an ex-employee. Clients kept asking if I worked at a construction site. 70. A coworker wouldn't stop whistling. Whistling might be charming in small doses, but this was relentless. It was like being stuck in a live concert of random bird sounds, one worker said. When I asked them to stop, they whistled louder. I had to go. 71. We had surprise performance reviews every week. Performance reviews are stressful enough, but imagine having them weekly without warning. I never knew when I'd be called into a meeting to justify my work, one person shared. It was like living in constant fear of being ambushed. 72. My manager scheduled meetings during lunch. Imagine looking forward to your one peaceful hour in a hectic workday, only to find a calendar invite titled Lunch Break Strategy Session. One worker said, "It wasn't just once. It became a weekly thing. I'd sit there with a cold sandwich while my boss discussed sales targets. Eventually, I decided my lunches and my sanity were worth more." 73. The office music playlist was awful. Music can be motivating if it's good. Our boss loved old polka music and blasted it all day, one worker said. I couldn't handle another accordion solo. 74. The health insurance didn't cover anything. A good benefits package can keep employees loyal, but this company's plan was a joke. They wouldn't even cover a basic doctor's visit, said one worker. It felt like they cared more about saving money than our well-being. 75. A coworker always brought smelly lunches. From leftover fish to boiled eggs, every meal was an assault on the senses. I tried holding my breath, but the smell lingered for hours, one person lamented. It was either their lunch or my job, so I chose my nose. 76. The office walls were paper thin. Private conversations? Forget it. I could hear everything from arguments in HR to my boss's karaoke practice, one worker revealed. It was impossible to concentrate or feel secure. 77. My manager gave me a motivational quote every morning. Motivational quotes can inspire, but not when they're forced. She'd write them on sticky notes and put them on my desk. One day it said, "Don't quit, grit it out." Ironically, that's the day I quit. 78. My boss kept emailing me during my honeymoon. Boundaries are important, but this boss didn't get the memo. They said, "Just a quick question," but it turned into 5 emails a day, said one worker. It ruined the vibe. 79. My boss kept mispronouncing my name, on purpose. Names matter, but some managers don't seem to care. He'd call me something completely different every day and laugh like it was a joke, one person shared. It wasn't funny. It was disrespectful. 80. The office had a rodent problem. You'd think a modern workplace wouldn't have to deal with mice, but here we are. I saw one crawl out of my desk drawer, one employee said. After that, I couldn't focus on work. I was too busy scanning for movement. 81. We weren't allowed to celebrate holidays. For some, holidays are a time for joy, but not at this company. They said decorations were a distraction, so the office stayed bland year-round, said one worker. It sucked the life out of the place. 82. The office plants kept dying. If plants can't survive the work environment, what hope do employees have? We'd bring in new plants, and they'd wilt within weeks, one person said. It felt symbolic. This place was draining all the life out of us. 83. A coworker kept using my coffee mug. Personal mugs are sacred, but not everyone respects boundaries. I'd come in and find my mug half full of cold coffee. One day, I caught them using it and decided I was done sharing anything with this office. 84. The dress code banned sneakers. Comfort matters, but not at this company. Even on casual Fridays, we had to wear dress shoes, said one employee. I got tired of limping home with sore feet. 85. The company wouldn't let me work remotely, even during a snowstorm. Some jobs can't be done remotely, but this one could. They made me drive through a blizzard just to sit in an empty office. It was ridiculous, one worker said. I found a remote job the next week. 86. My boss called me at 2 a.m. for a work emergency. Emergencies happen, but this wasn't one of them. He woke me up to ask where the stapler was. I couldn't believe it, one employee shared. That's when I realized I needed boundaries and a new job. 87. A coworker constantly took credit for my work. It's one thing to collaborate, but another to steal the spotlight. They'd present my ideas in meetings as if they were their own. I was done being invisible, the worker said. 88. The break room had one chair for 20 people. Break rooms are supposed to help employees relax, but not this one. We had to take turns sitting or just stand around awkwardly, said one worker. It felt like Hunger Games. Break room edition. 89. The boss banned water bottles at desks. Hydration is essential, but apparently not in this office. They said it looked unprofessional. I had to sneak sips of water like it was contraband, one employee said. 90. The company didn't allow sick days. One worker recalled being forced to come in with the flu. They said we'd power through it as a team. Meanwhile, everyone else got sick too. I powered my way out of there instead. 91. A coworker kept leaving anonymous, sticky notes. Sometimes anonymous feedback is helpful. This was not one of those times. I'd find notes like, clean your desk, or smile more. The handwriting was clearly my manager's, one worker said. 92. The office chairs were from the 1980s. Comfort wasn't a priority in this workplace. The chairs were so old they squeaked with every move, one employee said. I spent half my day worrying it would collapse under me. 93. We had to use paper time cards in 2023. In the age of digital everything, this felt archaic. We had to manually punch in and out, and if we forgot, we didn't get paid for that time. It was ridiculous, the worker shared. 94. The boss expected us to buy him coffee, daily. Coffee runs might seem harmless, but this boss made it a rule. We had to pool money to get his triple-shot latte every morning. I wasn't hired to be a barista, one employee said. 95. The office had no windows. Natural light is a mood booster, but this office had none. It felt like working in a dungeon, one person said. By the time I left, I felt like I hadn't seen the sun in years. 96. The company had pointless, mandatory team-building exercises. Some bonding activities work, but not this one. We had to build a tower out of marshmallows and spaghetti. It wasn't just awkward, it was a waste of time, one worker explained. 97. The boss monitored bathroom breaks. Imagine having to justify every trip to the restroom. They'd time us and ask why we took so long, one worker revealed. It was demeaning. I decided to take a permanent break, outside the company. 98. We had a company slogan that didn't make sense. Slogans are supposed to inspire, but this one just confused everyone. It was something like, "Together we thrive, apart we succeed." No one knew what it meant, One employee laughed. 99. A coworker brought their bird to the office. Pets in the workplace can be great, unless it's a parrot. The bird squawked through meetings and repeated everything it heard. It even learned to mimic our boss's cough. 100. The company didn't pay overtime, but expected it. Late nights, early mornings, and zero extra compensation. They'd say, "We're all family here, but I wasn't about to work for free," one employee said. "Families don't pay rent, jobs do." 101. The boss held a meeting to announce my resignation. Yes, this actually happened. I told my boss I was quitting, and he called a meeting to celebrate my decision. I hadn't even told my coworkers yet. It was humiliating, the worker shared. That's when I knew I made the right choice. And there you have it, 101 absolutely ridiculous reasons people have quit their jobs in America. Which one shocked or amused you the most? Have you ever experienced something similar? Drop your story in the comments. I can't wait to read them. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more wild and entertaining content like this.